The message came just after midnight. Ethan Jace was half asleep in his dusty repair shop on the outer edge of Earth's last trade zone when the hologram flickered to life. It projected blue light across his rusted tools and flickering power. Cells. He blinked and rubbed his eyes. "Attention, Ethan Jace," the voice said. "You have been named in the last will of General Dravik of House Tharvok. You are hereby summoned to Docking Bay. 17 for transfer of inheritance." Ethan stared. Who the hell is Dravik? He didn't know any generals, especially not alien ones, but curiosity and maybe boredom drove him to go. He reached the docking bay by morning. The hangar stank of oil and ozone. A few workers stood nearby, whispering as a massive containment pod was unloaded. Its surface was etched in alien symbols glowing faint red. Chains locked it tight. Ethan stepped forward. "Are you Ethan Jace?" a blue-skinned female officer asked. Her voice was flat, cold. "Ah, yeah." She handed him a tablet. "Sign here. Then she's yours." Before he could ask more, the pod hissed. Steam curled around his boots. The doors opened slowly, and out stepped a creature from his wildest dreams, nightmares, a tall alien woman. Her skin a deep bronze with glints of gold in the light, emerged in shackles. Her white hair flowed like a waterfall over her armored shoulders. Sharp markings lined her arms. Her eyes silver with no pupils locked onto Ethan's. Like a sword to a throat. She was beautiful and furious. She growled. "You are the human I am bound to." Bound. Ethan backed up. Wait, what is this?" The officer spoke again. "You inherited a battle wife per ancient Tharvok law. Dravik had no children. His bondmate was you due to the life debt you triggered during the war." "I fixed his ship," Ethan muttered. "That's all. Well, now she's yours." The officer turned and left. Ethan stood frozen. The alien woman was still staring at him. "My name is Kailari," she said slowly. Her voice was deep and commanding. "Daughter of blood. Trained in war. Bound by oath. But I do not obey humans." Ethan raised both hands. "Hey, I didn't ask for this. You don't have to do anything. Let's just figure this out." Her eyes narrowed. "Your weakness will get you killed." "Probably," Ethan said, almost smiling. "But I still don't like owning people." Kailari looked down at the shackles. Her lip curled. "Then release me. I don't even know how this works," he said. "Let's get you out of those cuffs first, okay?" She didn't move. But she watched him carefully. Back at Ethan's repair shop, Kailari sat on the floor like a coiled panther. She didn't speak, just stared at him. Ethan had managed to deactivate the shackles with an old alien circuit breaker. Now she was free to walk out at any time, but she didn't. "You're not gonna run off?" he asked, pouring her some water. "I'm watching," she said simply. "For what?" She looked at the cup for the first sign of weakness. He blinked. "You already said I was weak. I need to see if you survive it." Ethan gave a small laugh. "You know, you're not really what I expected." Kailari's eyes flashed. "What did you expect from a warrior wife?" "I didn't expect a wife at all." Her stare deepened. Then she did something Ethan didn't expect. She tilted her head slightly. Curious, he noticed the scars on her arms. Small, almost hidden, but they were their signs of old battles, maybe even torture. "Why didn't you leave?" he asked softly. "I was trained to serve in battle," she replied. "Now, I have no war, no master, no name in the galaxy. If I leave, I am nothing." "You're not nothing," Ethan said without thinking. She stiffened. No one had ever told her that before. Not in that voice. Not with that look. Something in her chest shifted, but she pushed it down. Hard, you may have inherited me. Human, she said coldly. But I am not yours. Ethan nodded. That's fine by me. But while you're here, maybe we can figure out who you really want to be. Kailari said nothing, but that night she didn't sleep on the floor. She moved closer to the fire, closer to him, and when he looked up, she was already watching him, not with hate, but with confusion, and something else she didn't yet understand. Asterisk. The morning light poured through the cracked window, casting warm gold on the concrete floor. Ethan was already up, boiling water for tea. His workshop smelled like dust, oil, and something new. A presence that hadn't left since yesterday. She was still here. Kailari stood near the door, arms crossed, silent. She had barely spoken since last night. Ethan handed her a steaming cup. It's not alien brew, but it's warm. She didn't move, just stared at the drink, then at him. I don't drink poison. Ethan smiled a little. If I wanted you dead, I wouldn't need poison. You could crush me with one arm. Her eyes narrowed. She took the cup, but didn't say thank you. Just held it, testing its warmth. Watching him, Ethan leaned against the wall. You can leave, you know? No one's stopping you. No? Kailari replied coldly. You want something? You're just waiting. For what? For me too. Kneel, beg, obey. He raised a brow. You think I want that? It's what all males want, she said, without blinking. Alien or human. Power, control. Ownership. Ethan shook his head. You've met the wrong kind of men. She didn't answer. But something flickered in her eyes. Later that day, Ethan worked on repairing an old hover engine. Sparks flew as he welded a cracked turbine. Kailari watched from the shadows, her arms still crossed. She was like a statue carved from bronze. And rage? Still. She was curious. You're not strong, she said suddenly. Ethan kept welding. Thanks. You're not rich, or fast, or clever. He stopped and looked up. Is this a compliment session, or an insult battle? You're not worthy of a warrior wife. He shrugged. I didn't ask for one. She stepped forward. Then why don't you return me? Kea, he replied slowly. You're not a thing to return. That answer made her pause. Kailari had always been something. A weapon. A servant. A prize. But not someone. That night, a storm rolled over the sky. Thunder cracked in the distance. Ethan lit a few old solar lanterns. The wind howled through the roof ends. Kailari sat near the fire again. Closer than last time. Ethan glanced. Over. Still here? I told you, she said. I'm watching. Find anything yet? Her voice was lower now. You're different. Ethan stirred the pot of stew. In a good way or a bad way? I don't know, she admitted. There was a silence between them. She finally asked, why didn't you demand your rights? What rights? To command me. To take me. Ethan set the spoon down and turned toward her. Because I don't want a slave, Kailari. She stared at him, unblinking. I'm not your enemy, he said. You don't owe me loyalty. You don't owe me anything. Not your body, not your time. She looked at the fire. For a long moment, she was quiet. Then, quietly, she said, my people taught me to fight, not to feel. I noticed. They taught me to follow, never to choose. You're free to choose now. She turned to him. Then why does it feel strange? Because no one ever let you before. Her silver eyes shimmered for just a second. She quickly looked away. Ethan handed her a bowl of stew. She took it without a word as they ate. The silence felt different, softer, not threatening, not awkward, just. Then she asked, do all humans treat women like this? Some do, some don't. "You're strange. You're beautiful," he said before he could stop himself. She blinked. Her grip tightened on the bowl. "I mean," Ethan stammered, turning red. Kailari didn't speak, but her jaw clenched, and something unreadable passed through her expression, as if no one had ever called her that. Not without expecting something in return. Suddenly, she stood up. The bowl clattered to the table. "I'm going outside," she said. Before he could reply, she stepped out into the rain. She stood under the gray sky. Soaked face tilted up to the storm. Rain streaked her face like tears, but she wasn't crying. Inside, Ethan debated going after her. Then, to his surprise, she returned. Wet, cold, silent. He handed her a towel. She took it slowly, and when he turned to go, she whispered something so soft, he almost missed it. "Thank you." Ethan froze. She had never said those words before. He turned around, but Kailari had already looked away. Pretending she hadn't spoken, he didn't push, smiled a little, and went back to cleaning up. That night, she didn't sleep near the fire. She slept beside him, and though she didn't say it aloud, her body finally relaxed. For the first time in her life, Kailari felt safe. But even then, she didn't understand. Kailari woke to silence. Warmth pressed against her back. A calm breath moved softly near her neck. Her hand instantly reached for a weapon, but there was none. Only blankets. And Ethan thought her muscles tensed. She wasn't used to softness. Her kind. Never allowed it, yet. She hadn't moved all night. She rolled away slowly. The human remained asleep, his arms stretched out behind her like a forgotten gesture of comfort. He didn't touch her, didn't take advantage, didn't act like a male who had been gifted a bride. That confused her more than anything. She slipped outside into the cool dawn. The air was crisp. The wind smelled like metal and wood smoke. Kailari stood alone in the clearing, fists clenched. Why was he different? Why hadn't he taken what the law gave him? She hated the answer growing inside her because he respected her, because he saw her, and she didn't know how to handle that. Later, Ethan was working again, his hands black with greasy sleeves. Rolled up, trying to repair a broken community. "You keep fixing useless things," Kailari said from the doorway. He looked up, amused. "That's my job." "No, your job is surviving. But you waste time saving things that should be left behind." "Maybe I don't like leaving things broken," he replied. Her eyes flicked down to her wrist, still bearing the faint red lines where the cuffs had once dug into her skin. "Some things can't be fixed," she muttered. Ethan stood up, walked toward her, and gently placed a community in her hand. "Maybe," he said, "but they can be cared for." Kailari stared at the small machine in her palm. It was warm from his touch, so was her hand. That evening, the temperature dropped again. Their shelter's heater had failed hours ago. Ethan tried fixing it, but the circuit board was fried. Blankets? He offered. She shook her head. Won't be enough. This body was made for war, not cold. They sat beside the fire, close but not touching. Her arms were tight across her chest. Her lips trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. "Want to share heat?" Ethan asked, awkward. She stared at him. "Are you offering mating?" His face turned red. "What? No. Just warmth. Body heat like survival training." A pause. Then her voice dropped. "You've trained for survival." He nodded. "I was stranded once. 5 days in the frozen canyons on Titan 7. Slept under a crashed engine block." She looked impressed but didn't say it. Instead, she stood slowly, walked over, and sat beside him. Close, so close, he felt the cold radiating off her skin. He offered a blanket. She didn't take it. Instead, Kailari leaned in, pressed her body against his chest and whispered so quiet it was almost lost in the crackle of fire. Use your body heat, or I won't make it. Ethan stiffened at first. She felt it. You fear me? She asked. No, he whispered, arms wrapping around her shoulders. I'm afraid of doing something wrong. Oh, she rested her head against his chest. Her voice came softer now. Everything about this feels wrong to me. But not with you. Time passed. The fire burned low. Her breathing slowed. So did his. Neither of them spoke. Neither moved away. Kylori's hands gripped his shirt like she needed something to anchor herself, something real. Something kind. I don't understand this, she said quietly. What? You? Ethan chuckled gently. I get that a lot. She looked up at him. Her silver eyes glowed softly in the firelight. You are not weak. He smiled. Well, that's new. She frowned. I mean it. You don't fight with strength, but with care, with peace. That is harder. Their eyes met, her hand lifted, brushing lightly against his jaw. Just once, a warrior's touch, careful, alert, but full of silent wonder. Then she pulled back sharply, as if her body had betrayed her. I need rest, she said quickly, standing. Alone? Ethan nodded. Of course. She walked away without looking back, but her heart pounded like war drums inside her chest. In her corner, under the blanket, Kylori closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come easy. Her thoughts screamed. She had been trained to break bones, not feel butterflies. She had been raised to obey, not desire. But tonight, with his warmth still clinging to her skin, she realized something dangerous. She didn't want to escape him. She wanted to understand him, and that scared her more than any enemy ever had. The morning came with silence. Kylori didn't greet Ethan. She didn't look at him either. She just sat near the broken heater, sharpening a long blade she had found among his tools. Ethan didn't push her. Not after last night. She had let him hold her for warmth. But there was more in that touch, something unspoken. Now she avoided it. Avoided him, so he worked in silence. But his eyes kept drifting to her, watching the way her hands moved like trained weapons. How her gaze stayed cold, even as the fire crackled beside her. He knew something was hurting her, and today wanted to find out what. While sorting through old supplies, Ethan found something strange. A small sealed case hidden under a pile of broken servos. It looked alien, engraved with battle emblems and gold bands. He opened it carefully. Inside were medals and a folded piece of fabric. A war banner. It was dark red, marked with the same symbol Kylori had on her shoulder, only brighter. And there, beneath the cloth, was a photo. Not human, alien children, smiling, standing beside a taller woman in armor. It was Kylori, younger, softer, her eyes still serious. But her mouth, almost smiling. Ethan turned. She was right behind him, her eyes locked on the photo, and for the first time, she looked shaken. Double quotes? Where did you find that? She asked, voice low. I didn't know it was yours, Ethan said quickly. I wasn't trying to put it back. She turned away, but he reached gently toward her arm. She didn't pull back. I saw your face in that picture, he said. You looked different. Kylori sat down hard on the edge of the work table. Her fingers trembled, just slightly. They were my battlings, she whispered. Young recruits, I trained them during the Fourth Moon War. They called me Kylori the Blade. They trusted me. Ethan stayed quiet. One night, she continued, our base was surrounded. We held the ridge, we held it for hours. But we were betrayed. Her voice cracked. Just once. They ordered me to retreat. Alone. Said I was too valuable to fall. With them, she looked away. I begged, I pleaded. Let me die with them, I said. But no, they injected me, knocked me out. When I woke, the base was ashes. She looked at Ethan finally. They left me with nothing. Ethan sat beside her. I'm sorry. She let out a small laugh, but it sounded bitter. You think sorrow is new to me? No, he said. But maybe kindness is. Kailari looked down. Her fists were tight. I was raised to be unbreakable. But I broke that night. Then let it be broken, Ethan said softly. You don't have to carry that alone. She stared at him. No one has ever said that to me. That night, Kailari didn't eat much. She just sat outside the workshop, watching the stars. Ethan brought her a blanket. She didn't stop him this time. He sat beside her. Both of them looking up. I've never seen stars this clear before, he said. On my homeworld, she replied. The sky is purple. The stars pulse like fireflies. We were told the ancestors lived inside them, watching our battles. Do you still believe that? I don't know what I believe anymore. She turned to him. But when I sit beside you, it feels quiet. My thoughts are not screaming. Ethan smiled gently. That's called peace. She looked at his face for a long time. Then her hand moved slowly, hesitantly untouched his. He didn't flinch. He didn't move away. I have nothing left to give, she whispered. You don't have to give me anything. But you still stay, she said. I do. Her fingers curled around his dot, and for the first time, she didn't feel like a soldier. She felt like a person. Maybe even a woman. Later that night, Kailar had a nightmare. She thrashed, growled, Parvati locked in combat against ghosts only. She could see. Ethan woke instantly. He rushed over, grabbing her shoulders. Kailari, it's me. Her eyes snapped open, glowing silver. Full of panic, her breathing was wild. Her fists nearly struck his face till she saw him. She froze. It's okay, he said gently. You're safe. Her chest heaved, and then she broke. Tears ran down her face. She fell forward, burying her face into his chest. No pride. No armor. Just a broken warrior, finally allowed to cry. Ethan held her without a word. And in that moment, the bond between them changed. Not by force, not by law. For the first time in weeks, Kailari woke without fear. The nightmare hadn't come. She opened her eyes to the sound of Ethan humming softly as he made breakfast. The smell of real food filled the air. And it wasn't survival rations or war protein cubes. It smelled warm. Home. She sat up slowly. Her body was sore, but her mind was strangely calm. That scared her more than any weapon. What was happening to her? A warrior did not wake up soft. Ethan placed a small plate beside her. Morning, he said with a quiet smile. She looked at the food. You cooked this? Yeah, it's not much, but I figured you deserved more than canned beans today. She took a bite. Her eyes widened. It was good. Better than anything she remembered. You should not do this, she said, chewing carefully. Why not? You make me forget what I am. Ethan leaned against the wall. What do you think you are? Kailari didn't answer. Because she didn't know anymore. The moment of peace broke when the come screen lit up. A glowing galactic emblem flashed across the display. Ethan walked over and pressed the answer. A sharp-faced alien judge appeared. Robes lined with glowing thread. His voice was cold and firm. Human Ethan Jace, you have failed to complete the bonding right within the assigned moon cycle. According to Tharvok law, you must either claim your battle wife or dissolve the inheritance. Kailari froze. What does that mean? Ethan asked slowly. It means, the judge replied, you must complete the joining ceremony or relinquish her. Immediately, Ethan looked at Kailari. What happens if I dissolve it? She will be listed as unclaimed property and returned to her people. They will decide her fate. Kailari's fists clenched. Her face stayed blank, but Ethan saw it. They'll put her in chains again, won't they? He asked. That is not your concern, the judge said. Decide within 24 hours. The screen went dark. Silence. Kailari stood in the corner. Eyes locked on the wall. I'll cancel it, Ethan said quickly. You're not property. You're not mine. She didn't speak. You'll be free, he added. Still, nothing. Kailari. Finally, she turned. Her voice shook just slightly. You think I want that? Ethan blinked. I don't want to be tossed aside again, she said. Not by them. Not by you. I wasn't tossing, you were giving me away, she snapped. You were afraid to keep me. Ethan stepped back, shocked. I didn't want to trap you. You already did, she whispered. But not with chains. Her breath hitched. You made me feel safe. You gave me warmth. You held me through pain I couldn't face alone. And now you say you'll just let me go. Ethan stared at her. He'd thought he was doing the right thing, the kind thing. But maybe kindness wasn't always what someone needed. Then what do you want, Kailari? He asked softly. She hesitated. For a long time, she said nothing. Then voice low. Rashi replied, I don't want to be claimed. I want to be chosen. That night, Ethan stayed up thinking. He stared at the stars, remembered the first time she stepped out of that pod cold, angry, deadly. Now, she slept in the same bed, trusted him with her secrets, and all he'd done was treat her like a person. But to her, that had meant everything. He walked to the workshop terminal and opened the bond form. His finger hovered over the two options. Dissolve claim complete bonding, right? He closed the terminal without clicking either. Not yet. This decision couldn't be made by law. It had to be made by her. The next day, he took her outside. The wind was warm, the sky painted gold. He placed something in her hand. She opened it. A ring. Simple. Worn. Human. Her eyes locked with his. What is this? Not a command, Ethan said. Not a legal bond. Just a choice. Kailari's hands trembled. She had held blades sharper than light. Fought beasts twice her size. Led soldiers into war. But she had never been asked. Never. Invited, only ordered. Now, a human stood before her. No armor. No chains. No law behind him. Only honesty. Only heart. I don't want to own you, he said. But I'd be proud to stand beside you. She stared at the ring, and slowly, she slipped it onto her finger. Her voice was no longer cold. It was soft, steady. I choose you. Kailari knew this day would come. It was written in the ancient rites of her people. A warrior wife who bonded with an outsider must prove her loyalty through blood, and the outsider, if he dared to stay, had to survive the blood trial. She never thought Ethan would accept it, but she forgot one thing. Humans are stubborn. It began when 3 armored ships landed just beyond Ethan's repair shop. The banners of the Tharvok clan fluttered in the wind. Warriors emerged, tall, fierce, wrapped in bone-lined cloaks and etched with gold tattoos. At the center stood a figure Kailari recognized instantly. Commander Vashrek, her former captain, the one who left her behind. He didn't bow. Didn't greet, he simply said, "We've come to retrieve what's ours." Kailari stepped forward. "I'm not yours. You were forged in our fires," he growled. "Now you kneel to a human, a soft one." Ethan moved beside her. "She kneels to no one." Vashrek's gaze shifted to him. "Then he must prove he's worthy, or he dies." Kylari turned sharply. No, he's not one of us. He doesn't follow our rights. Then he doesn't deserve you. Her eyes blazed. But before she could answer, Ethan stepped forward. I'll do it, he said. Kylari froze. No, I'm not letting them take you, he said softly. You're not going back with them. You'll die. Maybe, Ethan said, but I won't back down. Vashrek smiled. Then the blood trial begins at dusk. The arena was carved into stone in ancient battlefield hidden in the cliffs outside the zone. Torches lit the circle. Alien warriors formed a ring, watching silently. Kylari stood on the edge, her heart pounding. She had seen countless trials, but never one with a human in the pit. Ethan stepped forward, shirtless, with only a wooden staff. No armor, no enhancements. Just raw courage. Vashrek's chosen fighter was a mountain of muscle, covered in spikes and scars. His blade glowed with charged venom. You can still walk away, Kylari whispered from the edge. Ethan looked up at her and smiled. Not a chance. The horn blew and the monster charged. Ethan barely dodged the first swing. The blade missed his chest by inches, cutting the air with a screech. He rolled, ducked, swung his staff into the warrior's knee. The blow landed but barely made. The giant flinched. Kylari's fists were white at her sides. Ethan had no chance. He was too slow, too small, too human, but he kept moving. The alien fighter roared and landed a crushing blow into Ethan's ribs. He flew backward, coughing blood. Kylari stepped forward. Stop it. He's proven enough. No. Vashrek said coldly. He fights until he can't stand. Ethan got back up, wounded, bleeding, but not broken. The crowd was silent now. No human had ever lasted this long. Ethan circled, breathing hard, sweat dripping into his eyes. His hands shook, but he held his ground. The alien charged again. Ethan ducked low and jabbed his staff straight into the warrior's throat. The giant stumbled. Gagging. Ethan followed with a kick to the knee, then another to the chest. The staff shattered in his hands, but it was enough. The warrior fell to one knee. Ethan stood over him. Swaying, I'm done, he gasped. He's down. The judges nodded, the horn blew again. Trial complete. Kylari ran to him, catching him as he collapsed. You idiot, she whispered, holding his face. You almost died. But you're still here, Ethan said weakly. She kissed his forehead. I should be angry. You look more worried than mad. He smiled. Then he blacked out. 3 days passed. Kylari never left his side. She treated his wounds, cooled his fever, wrapped his bruises, and when Ethan finally opened his eyes, her face was the first thing he saw. You stayed, he croaked. I always stay, she whispered. He tried to sit up. She gently pushed him back down. Rest, you're safe. Ethan looked at her. You're more than a warrior, Kylari, and you, she said, are more than a man. She reached into her pouch and pulled out a silver band. Not a weapon, not a chain, a ceremonial ring. Tharvok only gave them 2 equals. She placed it in his palm. My clan accepts you now, she said, but I accepted you long before. Ethan smiled. Does this... The summons arrived 3 days later. A message from the Galactic Tribunal. Sealed in red, a rare color used only for matters of high honor or high violation. Kylari read it silently. Her face was unreadable, but her eyes burned. What is it? Ethan asked, his ribs still sore from the blood trial. They want us, she said softly. They want proof. Of what? This bond wasn't a mistake. They traveled to the Galactic core together, Kalari in full ceremonial armor, Ethan in a simple tunic. The tribunal building stood like a silver blade against the sky. Towers stretched so high they disappeared into clouds. Inside, warriors from 10 systems sat in a wide half-circle. Alien dignitaries, generals, and judges, all staring at them. Kalari stood tall. Ethan stood beside her, limping slightly, but he didn't waver. The head judge, a massive creature with 4 eyes and a voice like thunder, spoke first. Kalari, daughter of Tharvok, you were forged in war, trained in command. Why do you lower yourself to bond with a species so weak? Ethan opened his mouth, but Kalari lifted a hand. She would answer. She stepped forward. I do not lower myself, she said. I rise with him. A murmur spread through the chamber. He is not strong, another judge barked. He nearly died in the blood trial. Kalari raised her chin. He fought, knowing he would lose. Just to protect my right to choose. He is not a warrior? No, she agreed. He is something greater. He is kind when he has no reason to be. He listens when no one else does. He saw me as a woman, not a weapon, and in all my years of war, no blade has ever made me feel safer than his arms. The chamber fell silent. Ethan looked at her. Stunned, she hadn't told him she was going to say that. The head judge narrowed his eyes. You were given to him by law. If not for the will of General Drovik, you would never have met. I was given, yes, she said, but I stayed because I chose to. She turned to Ethan, her voice softened. I choose you. As a claim, not as a duty, but as my mate. Then, in front of the galaxy's highest powers, Kalari knelt not in shame, not in surrender, but in devotion, and offered him her hand. Ethan took it gently. Then, to everyone's surprise, he knelt too. I choose you, he said. No law, no force, just me. The head judge leaned back. This has never been done before. Then let it be written, Kalari said. Let this be the first bond between warrior and human, not by chain, not by war, but by choice. Later, when the ceremony was complete, they walked through the halls together. The warriors, who once doubted her, now nodded in respect. Kalari said nothing. But Ethan could tell something inside. Her had changed. She was no longer the weapon they had built. She was her own, and she had chosen to give her strength. To him, that night, back on Earth, they sat under the stars outside Ethan's shop. The fire crackled softly. Kalari rested her head against his shoulder, her armor gone, her blades set aside. Do you regret it? She asked. Not for a second, Ethan replied. Do you? She thought for a long moment. I used to think love was weakness, she whispered. Now, I know it's the only thing that ever made me stronger. Ethan smiled. She looked at him. Will you always stay? He leaned in, touching her forehead. Gently. Always. And in that quiet, starlit night, the galaxy's fiercest warrior and its softest human slept side by side, not as strangers, not as master and weapon,